Good girl. Good girl. Hello. How are you all on this fabulous Thursday? Hope you're all living your dream lives. I've got Poop right over here, and I know you can't see her, but she's sitting next to me on the ground. And she just gave me side eye because I stopped petting her. So, is everyone living their best lives? I hope. Let me make sure that I remember to set to this. One moment. Oh, participant. Subscribers. There. That should make it less work. Are you on your break, Rhonda? Look at that. Perfection. Perfect orchestration. What's up, Kevin? Miss Dana, hello. Lavenders Lysol, how are you? I will definitely. I will. Give it to her right now, huh, Poop? She's just like, shut up and pat me, okay? Huh. She's got an attitude. What's up, Lester? Lester, why do I feel like you've never been to one of my live streams? Please tell me I'm wrong about that, but for some reason it feels like, am I wrong? Well, I'm glad. I'm happy for it too, Dana. Was watching a replay of exclusives, so side proud of you guys. Oh my God, why, you're going to be one of them too? I think you're talking about success stories. You are too. I've always been for years. You're so wrong. Okay, well, do you put stuff in the chat? Do you send a lot of chats? I mean, I believe you. That's right, Prats. So what's new with all of us, huh? How are we on our manifestation journeys? Are we choosing our best lives, I hope? What's up, Joy? Long time ago, I said, everyone manifesting with Kimberly, when are we going to be manifesting with Lester? You are a funny, funny man. I'm so happy you're here too, Casey. I looked at my birth chart and rejected almost everything on it. Good. Good. What do you even need that for? Right? Desandra Thrasher, thank you very much. Hey, Kim, it's been a while. I've been feeling very discouraged lately. It's been 2 years since I've talked to my SP and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Okay. So first of all, I'm sorry you're feeling discouraged. I know it doesn't feel good. I know it doesn't. Especially when, like I'm sure you've heard me say before, when reality isn't showing us what we want or isn't showing us any indication that it plans on changing anytime soon, it can be very frustrating. Very frustrating. So, I mean, outside of the obvious, right? The obvious answer, which is, all right, well, then who do you believe you are? How are you perceiving reality? What do you think about reality? What do you really believe is happening in reality? Right? We start there first. outside of the knowing, the understanding that you are what? Consciousness. Consciousness first, right? Without consciousness, there's nothing. And you get to put the title on consciousness, whether you believe that's God, universe, higher power, source energy, moonbeams. We're that first. From there, we're choosing which self we are and what we believe about ourselves. So, what have you been thinking about reality first? Okay, what are we saying? Well, he struggles with addiction. So I think that has a lot to do with it as well, because people always been comments about how bad he looks. Ooh, okay, well, that's unfortunate. Let's decide that he is getting himself together, getting himself clean. Whatever words you feel most comfortable with. Healed, clean. Listen, his true self is the same pure, unadulterated consciousness that yours is. So there's a version of him who is free of that stuff, that garbage, right? That exists. So if you believe that that is playing a part of, let's just say, why it feels quiet, then we know, okay, there's a place that we can start adjusting how we view reality. We can see it as, all right, he's getting better, he's getting cleaner, he's getting healed. Again, you got to use the words that feel best to you. And that's what he's experiencing. That's what's happening. So there's no real true linear time delay unless you say there is. Hold on. One moment. My boyfriend's being a smartass, so I'm going to type him a message saying, wait till you get home. Because I told him I was doing a live stream, and he deliberately sent me that picture. I'm sure. I bet you he's watching this live stream right now. Can you imagine if I just wrote such a smart ass text and like sent it to the wrong person, like my mother or something? Oh my God. Oh, why do I think things like that? Okay. Okay. So sorry about that. Let me get back. Let me get back to focusing. So, Desandra, I don't want you to think like that you're doing something wrong. That's exactly what I think, that when we don't see what we want in reality, that's the first thing we think. We think we're doing something wrong. So we immediately give ourselves that label. If you know that every day you are doing your best to know who you are, meaning to know what self you're choosing, to be the new self, then from there, everything you're experiencing is leading to your outcome. Everything. So you're not doing anything wrong unless you're viewing reality as you're doing something wrong. Now, if other people have been communicating to you saying that, they've seen him, he doesn't look good. All right, so there's that story. And depending on what you feel and believe when you are getting those messages, it's telling you what story you're having or continuing. So really take a look at, what do you believe about him? What do you believe is possible for you? Especially in love and relationships. Do you believe that he can get better and come back? Do you believe that he can choose you? And that's okay. If the answers are no, then you know what to start focusing on. You know what to start choosing for yourself or believing about yourself. And what it would feel like to be that version of you. Okay? Wish fulfilled state. Thank you very much. I love your belief in me. Thanks, beautiful friend. Absolutely. Thank you for that. I believe in everyone. I do. Monica N. Oh my God, Monica. Thank you so much. Holy crap. Oh my God, I have an interview with my dream job tomorrow and I saw the posting but didn't apply. But wait a minute. Whoa, let's start over. Okay. Oh my God, I have an interview with my dream job tomorrow and I saw the posting but didn't apply. But a recruiter reached out for the same job and 3P deleted and removed all social media. It's like she vanished, had her blocked, so means she deactivate. Is that movement? I would say, yeah, just a little bit. Monica, holy shit! Can we talk about you having a job interview for your dream job that you didn't even apply for? So your manifestation chased you down. That's how I interpret that. How it can be absolutely effortless. Holy, I am so excited for you. And 3P is out of the picture. Yeah, I'm going to call all of that movement. Just a little bit of movement, Monica. This is freaking wonderful. Oh my God, HBICs, you all are on fire lately. On fire. This is wonderful news. And my God, what a generous, absolutely generous super chat, Monica. Thank you so much. But look at that. To me, in my opinion, that validates. I think it's in one of my very old videos where I said your manifestations will chase you. They will chase you. I know sometimes we think, oh my God, I didn't take this action or I didn't take that action and now it's going to ruin things. No, it's not. No, it's not. It will chase you and it will be effortless. Things will just present themselves to you. People get so logical minded when it comes to action. Showing up to reality and doing what feels good is really the only action you ever need to take. And that's the truth. Thank you, Lisa. Don't forget the thumbs up. Don't forget to like it so it gets out to other people. Thank you. I am so excited for you, Monica. Come on now. Look at that. I hope you are really seeing this as a major, major movement. Because if I'm remembering correctly, you have been desiring that new job or a new job. We have been talking about you focusing on what job you want, blah, blah, blah. We've been talking about it. Don't you remember? I remember the other live streams. And look at you now. Did you see, I was going to say think, but did you see it coming? Did it show up like when you were not thinking about it? Like, did it take you by surprise? Was your mind on something else? I want to hear the details of that. Because in my own personal experience, a very large chunk, in this moment, I can't think of one. I can't think of one manifestation that didn't come in the way of, I wasn't even thinking about it. My mind was on something else. Most of my, what the community, what we think is larger manifestations, they came when my mind was somewhere else. I was focused on something else. Now, that doesn't mean it was something I would like set it and let it go. I mean, like in the moment that the movement for it came into my reality, my mind was just focused elsewhere. I could have been doing dishes. You know, I'm just saying that kind of removed focus. Monica. Yeah, 3Ps, she's gone in the black hole. That's right. But you got to tell me, Monica, Did it kind of take you by surprise? I need to know. I am obsessed with hearing about the orchestration of, or the unfolding of how a manifestation shows up. And I don't care what the manifestation is, I am interested in how it came about to you, how it showed up. They just excite me. I just want to say another time, Monica, thank you very much for an extremely generous super chat. That was very, very nice. I'm going to keep bugging you. You got to tell me, did it show up in a way, number one, that you least expected? I bet with the recruiter, I bet you weren't expecting that. Apple has made it a huge pain in the ass to buy a super chat. Oh no. I don't know why. That sucks. I don't know why. Seems like Apple's making it harder and harder for me to enjoy it. Hello, daughter. Brittany. All right. Franny L, thank you very much. Hi, Kim. There was a misunderstanding yesterday. I thought he was being disrespectful. And SP said, have a good life out of nowhere and has gone quiet since. How do I turn this around? Trying to ground myself in my decision. First of all, good. You're already doing the right things, in my opinion. Getting back to the self you want to be. Good. Now, the have a good life, that's a sarcastic phrase, in my opinion. I mean, that's the sarcastic phrase I use when I'm being a smartass to my own boyfriend and vice versa. So let's not worry that, anybody hurt the other's feelings. We're not even going to go there. We're not going to make a big deal about the misunderstanding. We're not going to. Nothing's over. You can revise it if you want to. Not necessarily necessary unless you want to. And you can change the moment of how you two, ended. And I don't mean ending the relationship. I mean, what was the last thing said to each other? We can change that so that there wasn't a misunderstanding. We can revise that. How do you revise it? You think about that moment and you think of it going in a completely different way. So let's say, for example, I don't know, he showed up at your door and then the misunderstanding happened. Well, he showed up at the door and he hugged and kissed you instead and said, we're going to have an amazing life together because we're going to be together for the rest of our lives. Think of something else that feels good to you that happened instead. And then if the memory of the original moment comes in, no, that's not what happened. This is what happened. And you bring your focus at revision really isn't that difficult. And revision can be done through just straight up visualizing. You can script it. You could just simply affirm it. It's not as difficult or as woo-woo as some make it seem. Yes, I was surprised when I found out the company was the same I wanted to apply to, but I didn't apply because they wanted 7 years of experience, huh? I bet you that ain't gonna matter, is it? It's not gonna matter. I'm excited for you. But Franny L, the fact that you thought that he was being disrespectful in the moment, I have to say, I don't want you to punish yourself for that. I don't want you to punish yourself for that. Right? If we think someone is being rude to us, we do know that yes, we are experiencing the reflection of our own conscious awareness, but we also have the authority to allow or not allow certain behaviors around us. So I don't want you to beat yourself up for, well, maybe I judged that wrong. In one respect, I'm saying, yeah, you could forgive yourself, especially if it was just a simple misunderstanding. You could forgive yourself, forgive your person. But you have done nothing wrong. If you thought you were being disrespected, that's okay. It's okay that you maybe said something or set a boundary. We don't have to punish ourselves for things we necessarily do in reality, especially when we ourselves are not being disrespectful out there, right? We don't have to beat ourselves up. So don't go on the guilt and shame train, because you don't need to. You can completely rewrite it with revision, or you can simply focus on who the hell you are and standing in your decision, and don't worry. Reality will reflect. And I know when you're in the heat of the moments, it's hard to remember that, and it's hard to trust that. But that's the beauty of knowing who you really are. That's where that comes in. Knowing who your true self is. Right? We're not just relying on mere muggles out in reality. We are source. Okay? But I later calmly told him that it was insensitive and disrespectful, and we need to be respectful to one another. I thought he was saying people who don't hit on him need to be corrected so they can. I was joking about how no one is hitting on him because he's so captivated by me, and he said they need to be corrected. Turns out he meant old ladies who are. But I later calmly told him, yeah, I don't think you did anything wrong. I don't think you did anything wrong. I think it was a simple misunderstanding, and his have a good life sounded like somebody being sarcastic. But everything's going to be fine. You stand in your decision. That's the most important part, okay? Because that's where I see a lot of people go wrong. Is like in this example, okay, so reality is showing up in a way, let's just say you don't prefer right now, right? This is uncomfortable, not getting along with your person. It's uncomfortable. This is where people lose themselves and they start panicking that they're about to lose their manifestation, right? Or reality is going in the wrong direction. This is a pivotal moment. Are we going to handle this circumstance like your old self would? Are we going to handle this circumstance like new self would? Because that, in that moment, when you make that decision, that is how you are deciding which reality you are in. Don't overthink that, because then we got people being way too logical, thinking, yeah, but if I was in that reality, this argument wouldn't even happen. Why? Why do we think that? Life is going to still life. We're still going to live and have experiences. But we, as source experiencing physical reality through each one of us. So through Franny. So life is still going to life. You decide what reality you're in. So you returning to your decision is, to me, you are handling it perfectly. That's exactly what I would do. And I want you to know too, like if I thought my boyfriend was being disrespectful and saying something smart alecky that I didn't like, at the end of the day, if and when we feel like someone is offending us, we do want to like take a look at it as far as why is that bothering me? Why am I letting that bother me? I think you've already done that. But I would respond to it in reality too. I just wouldn't overthink it. I'd return to my decision. I hope that makes sense. So don't beat up on yourself. Zakari, thank you very much. Part 1. Hi, Kimberly. How did your work on getting rid of your fear of abandonment? Got movement with SP, deciding I'm new self, but thoughts of being... That said part 1. I don't know. I don't see a part 2. And as far as me addressing my fear of abandonment, when I first started this journey, and after I took that really hard look at who I was, remember, the first few years, I didn't understand states of consciousness. So it took me a while to figure out why I was still perceiving reality the way I was. It wasn't until I understood states that really changed for me. So in my opinion, what I feel was the changing point, the legitimate changing point of that particular fear was when states came in. And for me, it was focusing on the state I wanted to be in. And I would word that now as focusing on the version of myself I want to be in. Asking myself what it would feel like to know that I don't have to be afraid of being abandoned. What it would feel like to feel safe, to feel secure. What does that feel like? Right? What would it feel like to be the me that never has to worry about being abandoned anymore? Or the fear of anyone leaving, not giving it the meaning that that person is willfully abandoning me. Feeling safe in my own skin, feeling safe in my relationships. So long story short, through my journey, in my opinion, the easiest way is focusing on the you that doesn't have that belief. The you who does feel safe and secure. Those were my go-to words, by the way. That's why I keep saying safe and secure. You might like to word that differently. I'm not saying any other technique won't work. I find once you know that you are consciousness, at least for me, it just kind of made me feel like I didn't need anything else. I didn't need anything else. I know I'm source. I know I'm pure, unadulterated consciousness. I know I'm that first. So I'm aware that everything else is just a layer of conditioning. Everything, even the stuff that we would label as good, is still a layer of conditioning, right? All we are is consciousness, right? Or beingness, if you like that word better. From there, it's a conscious decision over who we are. So in other words, there is a version of you who has never learned the shit belief of being afraid of being abandoned. So what would it feel like to be that self? And you focus on that. And you consciously decide that that is now who you are. Even if that makes no sense, even if against all logic that seems to make no sense, you being source is why you can freely jump between any version of yourself. There are no limits. I understand that sometimes it's hard to believe that because it sounds a little too good to be true, a little too easy, but it is true. And it can be that easy. Simply bringing the awareness over to who you want to be. When I think of awareness, probably going to sound weird, but like I think of an eyeball moving, an eyeball that can go in all directions. Maybe that sounds gross or like space alien, like, but it's not what I see. So I see an eyeball in the void, and the void being whatever you want to label it. We can call it universe, we can call it heaven, God, whatever. And that awareness, where it's looking, or we can say shining its light, that's what reality becomes, what awareness is experiencing. And you as source, which is first, think of that first. Source is first. Source is all that is. You're already a perfect, I don't know how else to word it. You're already a perfect, whole being because of nothing more than that. So everything else is learned conditioning. I'm hoping that that makes sense. Everything you know is learned conditioning. Everything, even stupid stuff like what shade of pink that is, what shade of blue that is. Learned conditioning. Now, we're taught that certain things are fact. Well, this is a fact. Well, not really. It's a learned condition. It's a belief. Well, it's a fact. My name is Kimberly. No. I was told that was my name from the moment I took my first breath. See what I'm trying to say? Everything is learned. Everything. You came here a blank slate. The conditioning started the moment you took your first breath. So there's a version of you who never had that fear. What do you think it would be like to experience no longer having that fear? And listen, on days that life feels hard, and there are going to be days where life feels hard, right? We're not deliberately trying to manifest bad days. I'm just saying that the days that feel a little more difficult, it's going to be a little hard to believe that you can just be any version of yourself that you want to be because you don't feel like it that day. And that's normal. Normal. So if you're having a day where it feels like it, that just sounds way too good to be true. Because maybe you're really in the depths of fear. I want you to remember that you're still a human having the human experience. That doesn't make you less, right? That doesn't make you no longer source, consciousness. No, that's awareness experiencing the learned condition or the learned belief of fear of abandonment. So we just got to move that eyeball over to safety and security. Never worrying about someone leaving you, never having to fear that. Because you only bring in safe versions of people. Again, you got to choose wording that feels good to you. But you'll see. You start focusing in that direction of safety and security, your reality around you will start to, move its chess pieces around, rearrange itself. Miss Dana, thank you very much. Kim, I got triggered so bad with not good enough. SP2 told me I'm clingy. But he's fucking wrong. Damn right he's fucking wrong. Brought up childhood shit, but I got through it. Good. Good. I hope you cried all that shit out. You are not clinging. You are not clinging. Now, was that a shit comment? Yes. Of course it was. In the moment, when you got triggered by it, did you sit in that? Now, having emotions and feelings is not necessarily marinating. Did you sit in that? Did you go back to believing that you weren't good enough? Or were you simply being aware? It caught your attention. It might have triggered an emotion or feeling, but you could see right through it, couldn't you? You knew exactly what it was when that came out. Look how you handled that versus how your old self would handle that. See the difference in who you are now. He'll change his fucking tune. You mark my words. He'll change his tune. And suddenly he's going to want you to be so super clingy. Mark my words on that. No, but I observed that was what used to happen, and back when I'd accept it. You don't accept that anymore, do ya? Do ya? Told you you're clingy. You are not clingy. He's been texting me every day since. Now listen, I want you to see that as you pass the test. Now remember, if you're new to my channel, I think it's helpful, especially if you know you're like struggling at a moment, when you're feeling all triggered, and when you are kind of entangled, letting reality bother you, you're forgetting that what reality is. I think it's easier to see those moments as tests. But I will tell you, you're not being tested, right? God is not testing you. Universe, not testing you. But it helps to look at them that way. You look at it like a test. Am I going to pass or am I going to fail? Well, what's failing? Failing is going back to your old self and acting the same exact way you would when you started the journey. But it's just a fail. I know fail sounds like a heavy, bad word, but just hear me out. We're not going to beat ourselves up if we failed it. We're going to pick ourselves up and we're going to return to our decision. We're not going to waste any time beating ourselves up. But passing it, and it's pretty easy to pass. Passing it is you immediately seeing what's happening, being aware of, oh my God, here's my old belief. Doesn't mean it's going to hurt less, but you're aware. To me, that's an automatic pass. Because listen, the whole point of this is to know yourself as source. Right? I know everyone's probably thinking, yeah, I already know that. Now what? Is to know yourself as source, or to be aware when you're in moments like that, in the moments that you're forgetting. Because when we get entangled with 3D, what's happening? We're forgetting. We're believing the illusion. I think it's also easier to look at it as like the Matrix movie. You're getting lost in the Matrix again. Pull yourself back, because when you pull yourself back and you remember who you are, you get back into observer mode. Think of it as all your power comes right back to you. You remember nothing out here. Nothing out here can really ever hurt you. And if you know you're putting your awareness on the who you want to be, on what you want to experience, you know that's what you're doing, then you have nothing to fear ever. Reality will rearrange itself. But I think it is imperative to remember, reality is going to keep lifing. Manifestations come in so many different ways. The orchestration is always at play, and we are all involved in each other's orchestration. So we might know ourselves as source, but we shouldn't forget that we don't necessarily have the view of reality than, let's say, higher self does. Right? And in my opinion, we're not meant to have that view yet. We're here to experience the physical. So when things don't make sense, when an SP shows up and says something shitty like you're too clingy, in the moment, I know that doesn't feel good, and I know that doesn't make us feel like that SP is becoming any nicer, but you were aware of it, you caught it, you might have had feelings and emotions, but you doubled down in your conviction over which self you are. So therefore, doesn't seem to make sense, but it happened for a reason. And everything is happening to our benefit. Everything is. Everything is a part of the orchestration, no matter what you're manifesting. But it's never to deliberately ruin your day or hurt you. I feel better and more detached now. Good girl. I think that was a really good example, Kevin. You can even see that you play different characters depending on who you are interacting with. You're changing roles all the time, every day. I think that is a really good, it's a different way of talking about the consistent, like I say all the time, the consistent shifts in state. And that right there is the reason why you want to become more and more practiced at being in observer mode, of staying awake, staying aware. We slip in and out of states all the time, right? We fluctuate all the time. It might be easier to look at it as you're stepping into characters all the time. All day long, all night long until you're sleeping. But even then, you're still moving and grooving in consciousness, but you're shifting. The only difference between now and the day before you found conscious manifestation is now you are getting a better understanding why you do slip into different characters around different people. You're becoming more and more aware of your state of consciousness, and your state is what is reflected to you in reality. That's where your power comes in. What character are you playing today? Who are you today? Are you the person that doesn't get what he or she wants and that life is hard? Or whatever your dreams are, what the things you'd love to manifest, but you think they are too big and too far away to manifest? That's one version of you. That doesn't mean that has to stay and stick around and keep moving the avatar. No. There's another version of you who has it all and doesn't believe in the limits out here. This version of you knows he or she can have whatever she desires or he desires. It's all fluid. Changes the moment you decide. Yes, Dana. Yes. Yes, we believe that we are stuck in one character. Say it for the people in the back. It's true. We believe that we are stuck in one character. We do. We do. That's what you have to wake up from. Every single thing you think you have experienced in physical reality throughout however old you are, all the years you think you've been on this planet, all those lived experiences, you believe that you experience them as oneself, this one meat suit. Even the meat suit is fluid and can change. Hence why appearance changes are an option. It can be changed with your awareness. Let's see. Peaches Bouvier. Thank you very much. Member for 31 months. Can you give an example of thoughts someone may have in a spiral and or having big emotions and how you talk to yourself during it to not indulge it and to reinforce new self? Okay. That is so not a coincidence that you're asking me that question, because I'm working on a project with a very special person, and literally the identical topic came up. All right, let's be real. When we are in a middle of the spiral, depending on your personality, right? I know we're all different, unique individuals here. Depending on your personality. So we're going to use me as the example. if I'm in the middle of a spiral, depending on what life subject I'm spiraling over, sometimes reminding myself of who I am doesn't make me feel any better. Sometimes knowing I'm source doesn't make me feel any better. Now, the truth of what's happening in that spiral is I must be very much involved, attached to what's happening. That's the truth first, right? We have to authentically own that. We're very much attached to what we're spiraling over. Again, we're not beating ourselves up. We're just walking our way through it. In a spiral over something we're very clinging to. So let's say it's my relationship. All right. So let's say I'm spiraling over, let's say SP and I got in a big argument. We're spiraling, or I'm spiraling. And let's say, all right, I'm feeling the spiral. I'm having the emotions and feelings. My thoughts are going all over the place. Maybe 3D looks totally tits up. Me knowing I'm source and knowing I have to return to my decision might not come with ease in that moment. Maybe I'm going to continue the tears. Again, this is why I'm saying it's important to decide, what life subject we're talking about. Something so of high importance, we might not immediately feel better after returning to our decision. In those moments, what's, in my opinion, the best thing to do is, first of all, do your best to not take any 3D action. Try to have the discipline not to do anything in the 3D, because we're not thinking straight. We're full on spiraling at this point. We're not going to take any action, and we're going to do our best to distract ourselves. Now, I know the 3D calls it doom scrolling, but when you are so highly engaged, we've got to disengage ourselves, don't we, from what's happening, what we're spiraling over, what has us so worked up. Sometimes that's me doing whatever I can to distract myself long enough just so I'm calming down. For me, sometimes just trying to focus on my breath helps. But sometimes picking up my phone and scrolling for a few moments until the tears stop, I'll do that. Once my emotions are calm, once I'm calmly breathing, I'm feeling centered, that is when all my focus goes back to who I want to be. This is why we don't judge ourselves when we're having spirals, when we're having emotional moments. We were never meant to be made to feel like we're bad manifestors or bad people or too emotional because we have feelings and emotions. We were given them for a reason. Now, let's say it's an area that wouldn't have you so worked up. Let's say it's over something like, I don't know, whatever feels not quite as important as your love interest. Those moments, it might be a little easier for you to calm yourself down. Calm yourself down. Why am I letting this bother me? Why is this bothering me? What do I really think is happening here? What belief is trying to take over right now? How would my old self handle this? How would my new self handle this? And return to my decision. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is there's not one straight, perfect way to handle problems. We're all unique, we're all individual, and we all have our own ideas of what is the utmost importance and what is important, but I'm not going to lose my shit over if it doesn't work. Subject area, right? The goal is to calm yourself as much as possible and return to your decision. But how you get yourself there is unique to you, and it will be the right way for you. I mean it when I say you really can't do this wrong. And I know that sounds like it's the opposite of what everybody else says, but you can't. Your God, your source, right? Source, God, does not abandon us. Source, God, universe, doesn't judge us. Doesn't shut off the manifestation light switch because we're having feelings and emotions and we're all entangled into our 3D, right? Source doesn't give up. Okay? Our ego, the character we're playing, the state we're in, it can feel like that's what's happening. It can feel like we're being punished for something, but we're not. I hope that helped. I agree, Salty. 100% agree. Sometimes a good spiral is a shedding of old self and old beliefs. Totally agree. I look at that. Sometimes tears really are. They are a shed, a release party. Death to the old state, right? As our new state is becoming more natural, more normal. There's so many, I feel, like negative vibes around having emotions. And I just think that's so ass backwards. Some of us are very easy criers. There might be a multitude of labels that the 3D world gives for being too much of a crier. I say, fuck it all and let the emotions flow. Get them out. I think the more we step away from all the labels, the lighter we're going to feel. Some of us cling to labels because maybe the labels make you feel more safe. I'm not here to tell you what character is best for you. I just want to help you get whatever your desires are. But when you're spiraling, whatever it takes to get you to sit still, breathe, calm yourself down, and observe. Be aware of what's happening. And maybe that means if the spiral's really supercharged and you're really entangled with what's happening, maybe you're really upset over what's happening, maybe you're angry over what's happening. You're not bad for feeling that way, but you're feeling that way from the state, from the character. So we have more control than we feel like we have in those moments. In pretty much 100% of the time, we are out here seeking a validation from something. So when a circumstance pops up that is not favorable, we look at that as like bad validation. It means I'm not getting what I want, right? It's whatever meaning we give it. But it's usually never those meanings. It's always taking us to where we want to go. We just don't understand it in the moment. And sometimes shitty circumstances are exactly what needed to happen so that you can have your desire. But it's not always easy to know that when you're living it, right? I love being able to feel your feels in your spirals versus stuffing down. Agree. I like how to say breathe. Don't react in the 3D and step back. Don't 3D seek. Love this advice. But it's so true, Teresa. It's so true. Oh, I need you all in my back pocket. I love you. Some coaches limit people and complicate things too much. Audrey, I agree with you on so many levels. I do. And that is a belief that I am aware that this version of me needs to let go of. I need to let go of it so I see less of it. Totally agree with you. You want to know, really, in my opinion, I think we don't have to worry and know or do fucking anything other than knowing we are source. I don't think we need anything else. I think, now, granted, obviously we are all, this experience, this physical experience is on the spark of desire, right? The desire is what keeps us going. The desire will always happen. I feel that. Desire is always going to be there. And I don't mean just for the one thing you might be currently manifesting. I'm saying once that manifests, you're not done desiring. You're going to want something after that, right? I think that when you stop fighting against 3D, stop allowing things to tell you that you can't have what you desire, I think it's all going to come to you naturally anyway. All of it, whatever it is that you're desiring. I think that's all we sincerely need to do is just stop saying we can't have it. Stop saying we're not good enough for something, or this person's never going to choose us, or that kind of money would never come to me. We just got to stop telling those stories. But I don't think we really need to do anything else other than that. Quit the negative talk. Everything else would come. I really think that. Yes, shed the cloak of who you do not want to be. Yes, that's true. That's true, Prats. That's literally the whole point of manifesting, realizing you're already it. Yes. Oh, I'm getting so excited. I love that so many of you are agreeing with me. Thank you, thank you. Because I think it's true. And I think the reason why you're agreeing is because you got your own little individual knowing validation feeling within you right in this moment. Because it is the truth. Some people have it so stupid that you must do this. You must do this, and you must do it this way, or it won't work. Or, no, you can't have that. No, you can manifest all of this, but not that. Really? Like, who did you sit down and have a conversation with, right? Who did you talk to that said we can have all of this, but not that? Who told you that? Where did that come from? Because that's not written anywhere. Do you know what I mean? Anywhere reliable. Let's just say it like that. That's right. God doesn't shit talk themselves. So true. Negative self-talk is like wanting the mirror to change how we talk to ourselves. Yes. Yes. Rhonda C., member for 38 months. Thank you very much. Hey, Kim, beautiful friend. Having internal shifts, but very aware of my 3D. Meeting the ex who has been chasing me even after settling boundaries, which felt good. The BBL of my SP is showing up in the gym again. LOL, ready to land this plane. Oh my God, Rhonda. Look at you picking up men at the gym. Look at you. You are like a magnet. Good for you for setting boundaries. I'm not surprised your ex is chasing you, though. I'm not surprised at all. Not surprised at all. So when you say you're very aware of your 3D, are you saying I'm very aware that this one little nugget over here doesn't seem to be doing what I prefer? Is that what you mean? Yes. Okay. I'm sure you've already done this because it's not like you are someone that needs to be schooled on how to manifest. You are very well versed. Does a reason come in your mind? And you know what I mean. Does something come into your mind that is like an excuse? or what might be happening over with that little nugget. Wait a minute. I'm sorry, I'm seeing Pratt's message. My latest pet peeve, 50K affirmations. That's not a thing, is it? Are you saying that's a thing right now? What is happening? I'm missing this. Oh, it's a challenge. Oh, okay. I thought you were saying that that's a new rule. A new rule. I'm like, wait a minute, what? A rule? No. A challenge. Okay. I get it. Challenge is it? Yeah. I probably wouldn't be any good at that challenge, though. I probably would fail that challenge, unfortunately. Here I am with here's my my label. I couldn't. I like you said, I can't affirm. Me affirming something the same 5 times in a row. I don't even know if I would be able to do that every day. Oh, not me. I have no patience. Teresa James, thank you so much. I'm in love with you. You're so good to me. Hold on a minute. I had movement with SP, communication started again, but now I fear it's going to die out again as before. What can I do? I feel attached to whether he texts me or not. All right, so what meaning are you giving it, my friend? What meaning? So is it, sorry, I meant to say, is it more than just, I'm afraid it's going to die out again? Is there any other thing you're attaching to it? Because it really is just a belief. And the only reason, truthfully, the only reason why you're experiencing it is because of that fear. So can you imagine if you did your best to detach completely? And I don't mean give up on your person. It's not what I mean. But detach. Not allowing the 3D to tell you who you are. I mean, we all know my own SP story. When I started that practicing detachment way back when, we're talking a few years ago. 1, 2, 3, let's see. It was before my September of 2022. How many years is that? That's almost 3 years. Okay. So maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I did a detachment, a full-on detachment from my 3Ds. I was so sick of shit. So sick of shit. But I saw a change in 24 hours. So what I'm saying is the fears you're having, because I used to think the same thing. If I didn't get the text messages, if the text messages didn't have the right wording, I would immediately lose my shit and think something terrible was going to happen. And that if I didn't keep reaching out, then it was going to die off. And I got sick of that because it didn't feel good. I felt stressed every single day. So while I was doing my best to focus on my state, I would have said state back then, I reached my breaking point. I was sick of being afraid and I detached. And within 24 hours, it was like it's a different person. And I bet if you detached, I'm not promising the linear time, right? None of us know. when things will show up in reality, but I bet things will change. Rhonda, I didn't see it that if you wrote me back when I asked if something comes up. Maybe you didn't say it in the chat, but I'm just wondering if you answered that. I don't see it. You're naming your cat Willow? Oh my God, I just met a beautiful puppy dog. I know yours is a cat, but a beautiful all brown chocolate lab. Did I say it was a boy? Because it could have been a girl. I'm sorry, I don't remember if it was a boy or girl. But its name was Willow. I fell in love immediately. Like, that is such a pretty name. I'm not going to lie to you. When I was in my early 20s, before I had my child, that was going to be my first daughter's name if I had a girl, Willow. I just thought it was so beautiful. And it would have went good with the guy I was dating at the time, last name. So I'm like, oh my God, that would be so perfect. Willow Wilson. That was his last name. He was a bastard. Poop is losing her mind. That's because I think Daddy's home. Yep, Daddy must be home. And he must have walked over to the post office box, so she saw him. I don't know if y'all just saw him, but he was peeking in the window. Anyway. Annabelle! Hi, Kim. How to ignore 3P when she's a famous actress. I believe SP, who was a celeb, will come in, but hard to stop thinking about him in 3P when they're all over the internet. P.S. 111 watching now. Oh my God, 111. Okay, so Annabelle, it's not that you have to ignore. That's another misconception of manifestation. You don't have to ignore. It's okay that you're aware that there is a 3P, but hold on to that. Hold on to that. Put a pin there. Because yes, what we keep our awareness on seems to stick around. However, you can be aware that something's happening in 3D reality without the fear of, oh my God, if I don't ignore this, this is never going to change. But we can give it a different meaning. We can give it a different meaning. We can decide that, no. That's the past. That's an old, we can call it manifestation. That's old. You're a new version of yourself. You're the version of yourself that is always chosen, is in the loving, fulfilling, committed relationship with your person. I think just because you spelled it out to me that she's a famous actress and he's a celebrity, I think that you're probably viewing your manifestation as more difficult because he's a celebrity. And that's one thing you probably want to change. Not the fact that he's a celebrity. I don't mean that. The fact that you're viewing it as, well, this is more difficult. I have to see their faces than magazines or on the internet all the time. It's different. No, it's not. You can view that like any other person with a third party would view it as, okay, that's a manifestation of my old self, the self that didn't know she was good enough or he was good enough. That's all that is. So I don't even need to think about it. I don't have to worry about getting rid of that 3P because the more I focus on being the me in the relationship with him, the sooner she's going to be gone anyway. So there's nothing to worry about because there really isn't anything to worry about. See what I mean? Jersey Petite. Is it Petite? 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 Why do I feel like you've corrected me before? I'm sorry. Remember, for 18 months. I'm manifesting multiple areas, acting, career, specific role, moving, love, money. How do I stay and focus on the end? My mind is telling me those areas look nothing like that. I want it to come quickly. I am persisting, just need some advice. Thank you. Okay, first of all, I love that you're a multi-manifester because I'm a multi-manifester. And I think multi-manifesting is much easier. Why? Because your focus is not so lasered on one area. It's kind of spread. And trust me, that does not make it like, oh, I'm not giving enough juice and love to this one category, so that's going to take longer. Not true at all. That consciousness is not limited by linear time. Consciousness is not limited to how much percentage time is she focusing on this. No, not at all. So I feel like you should define who that version of you is, which I'm sure if you're in the channel memberships, I am sure you heard me say something like that before. Like I really defined it, what each area of my life looks like. And then I asked myself, what would I feel like to be the me experiencing all of that? Fulfillment in every area. What would it feel like? What do you think a day in your life would look like? And if your answer is, well, I don't know because I don't have that stuff yet. Yes, you do. You have all the power in the world. You absolutely do know. You have your imagination. So you do know. And it will come to you. And you focus there. But like I said earlier, the more you stop telling a story that you don't have those things, or that they're going to take a long time, or the fear of they're going to take a long time, the more you keep telling those stories, the yuckier it's going to feel. The more you're over here telling the story of, well, yeah, yes, I can be that person. Yes, I can. Yes, I can have these things. What if it didn't take very long? What if life changed really quickly? What if it did? What if they all rapidly, successfully came in, boom, 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 in succession? What if they did? How would that feel? What would you do? You start thinking like that, putting your focus over there, I'm telling you, you'll see things. You'll see things change. I don't care what your logical mind is saying to you. You got to remind yourself in that moment that your logical mind is what? It's the ego. The ego experience. Now, the ego is not the devil. The ego is not our enemy. But the ego is what helps us to experience the physical, right? The ego helps us to individualize ourselves as this character. So the ego is not our enemy. Really want to make that clear. But when the ego is being a little too logical, saying, well, what the hell? Nothing's changed. All these things need to happen before this one manifestation can happen. No. That, yeah, maybe that would be true if the ego was the one in charge of bringing it here. But it's not. Sources. And you are that source. So feed the awareness. Think of it like that. Feed the awareness what you want it to shine its light on. How do you feed awareness? Using your imagination. Maybe that's not the greatest analogy, but shine the light on the self you want to be. Trust me. The only time you probably feel bad is when your mind is thinking logically. And it's logically interpreting, perceiving 3D reality. And that's when you just need that nudge, that little gentle reminder of who you really are. And remember that higher self, God, universe, source, whatever you believe it is, sees the big picture, sees it all, sees what you can't, and probably will never see until you croak. The huge big picture. So whatever you're experiencing, if you know that you've been focusing on being that version of yourself that's got all of the things you listed, if you know you're doing your best to do that, then literally everything you've been experiencing so far is all a part of that grand plan to give you all of those things. I know that's not always easy to believe, but you'll see, and it'll all make sense too. Okay? All right. On that note, I must go because it's not going to get any quieter here and I'm not going to be able to focus. So thank you very much for hanging out with me on this lovely Thursday. I hope you have a most lovely rest of your Thursday. Hot seaters, I will see you in the morning for the hot seat group. Okay? You want to know what my boyfriend's doing behind the camera right now? He's doing a wind-up thing like this to me. That's my boyfriend who claims to love me. That's not love. That's not love.
Okay.
No, you can't tell them anything I do. You can't tell them anything I do.
What about the
No! You can't tell them. You can't tell them. I'm innocent. I'm always good. I'm always the nice one. Anyway, all right. I'll see you all. See the hot seaters in the morning. Everybody else, I'll probably see you later on tomorrow. Okay? Have a wonderful rest of your day.